Speaking of updates, we kind of teased this a bit for folks. You're actually here to talk about an update in your investigation into what's going on at Somerset Court in Cherryville. And for folks who are kind of just catching up on this situation, there are multiple stories that you've been telling here, but you have some updates on some of these cases, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Somerset Court of Cherryville is an assisted living facility in Gaston County. Dozens of people live there. And late last year, we became aware of some concerns there. And it started out with us interviewing a woman named Stacy Reeves. I'm going to let you hear from her in a second. She was fired by Somerset Court of Cherryville, but had some legitimate concerns. Number one, she shared a picture of a hospice patient on a mattress on the floor, was made to sleep on the floor because he was a fall risk. She raised concerns about the call bell system there. We found out about a woman who died after choking, who another resident told us the call bell system was down that week when this woman needed help. She had to run to the front to get help. She later died. We also discovered through our reporting another woman who was the resident counsel who had to go to the hospital for something. Somerset Court of Cherryville refused to take her back. Her family says she's outspoken, she's an advocate. They believe it was retaliatory. She had filed formal complaints against Somerset Court. Her name was Freda Reynolds. And because of that, she was stuck in the hospital for 53 days. She was easily able to get discharged much sooner. The doctor signed off on it. The facility wouldn't take her back. And this woman, her mental health declining. Can you imagine not having a home to go back to? You've made friends there. You have people that you love that are dying there. You can't be with them because you're stuck in a hospital room. And I'm going to tell you the big update in a second, because this facility is now in trouble with the state because of much of what we reported. But here's how it started with a woman named Stacy Reeves bringing concerns to us. I'm also curious, like, what do you want to come out of this? Just awareness?
Awareness, and I want them people to get the treatment they deserve. I do. They're treated bad.
That's
and
really
I
what
miss
you want.
them.
That's what you want.
I loved going to work there. I never called out, ever. Never called out of work, except the day my mom was in the hospital. And I even felt bad that I couldn't be there for them. I just want them taken care of. And how they're being treated is not right.
Well, the state is now verifying that, at least in Freda Reynolds' case, the woman that was stuck in the hospital, they have investigated after our reporting and found that she was neglected by this facility. She was not given the proper discharge paperwork. She was not given the right to appeal. And the state will recommend a fine. State law suggests it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $20,000 for this facility. A separate investigation found that the call bell system, 3 months after Linda J., the woman who died after choking, passed away, the call bell system was down for a week straight in January. And again, this is not what the rules and laws allow. You have, if you're going to be taking care of people, vulnerable people, you have got to be making sure that if there's an emergency, they have their call bell. That's what the state rules say. It's not what I say. That's the rule. You have to make sure you're following the process so that people have a right to appeal if they're getting kicked out of the facility. And in this case, the state has said this facility acted wrong in these situations, and now they're in the process of issuing the fine for the neglect. The facility will have a chance to kind of mitigate that. The facility basically said in its response that the call bells were back up and working. But remember, we had documented a history of these call bells not working, and also that they were going to send the proper paperwork for this woman's discharge, but an emergency came up. They never got around to it, and by the time they were reminded they needed to do it, they thought too much time had passed. It wouldn't have made a difference. And thankfully, this woman, Freda, is now in a new place, hopefully doing better, but it's an adjustment. You know, when you move to a new place, especially when you're by yourself, it's isolating, and it's farther away from her family. So a big development here. We're going to have our story tonight at 11.
Okay.
It's going to recap everything again and talk about exactly what the state found. We have state records that show all this. And that's just something else I want to point out. You know, after a story airs, I'm constantly filing public records requests to try to see, okay, when's this investigation going to be over? What's releasable? And I got a few pages of documents that are just like completely redacted. There's nothing. You can't see anything in it. But then I've got some other ones that list exactly what the state found. And that's just, to me, is the most important thing. We're not just presenting problems, we're following them through to see, number one, if people are held accountable and if the processes are working the way they're supposed to. For assisted living facilities and nursing homes, there's a process. If you have a problem, you can report them to the state. There can be a complete investigation. Will that actually work? That's what we wanted to know. It did work in this case because they verified some of the concerns.
Wow. I guess for folks who are watching this and they're going, man, I have a situation, I think I need help. What would you recommend to folks who think that maybe they've reached an impasse through official channels and they're thinking of, maybe I need to go a different route to get some results?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I always say, good faith, try to follow the proper process first. Escalate your concerns, whether it's with a business, whether it's an organization, whether it's with a school system. Reach out to your elected leaders if they could be involved and maybe can potentially help you. They can be advocates. The Attorney General's office can advocate for consumers. But if all else fails, that's what we're here for. Particularly issues that shed light on a bigger, broader problem, right? That's not just a one-off. Now, we can help with one-off situations, and we try to when we can. But if there's a bigger issue that you think the public needs to know about, you can reach out to me directly, nmorabito@wcnc.com. I'm all over social media. You can find me anywhere there, too, so that we can look into it, read every email, try to reach out to every person who reaches out directly to me as well. And I think we have a track record of really exposing things that no one else has done around here. And without brave people coming forward, sometimes in their darkest moments, we would never be able to tell these stories. And who knows what changes would be taking place right now at this assisted living facility if that fired employee, number one, hadn't come forward. And all the other people, both publicly and privately, I've talked to about this, there's a lot of them. It's thanks to them for being brave enough to speak up that we can hold this facility into account, and the state, who's in charge of oversight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up that point about folks being brave, because we understand that's really tough to go out there and tell your story. And sometimes these are really tough situations, vulnerable situations. And we don't take telling these stories lightly. We want to make sure that, justice is done, whichever way that is or whatever that means. And, it's just, I'm grateful too, when I see your pieces and I see the people who come forward as well, and they're sharing what they see as an injustice, and then you take it to the proper channels, and then inevitably we get some results.
And it's never just somebody saying something and us putting it on TV.
Right.
We don't do it that way. That's not how we're going to do it. We're going to be meticulous. We're going to be right. And we're going to do it in a way to make sure that the impact is what the impact should be. And I'm working on another story right now involving a school system, and I had that conversation with the parent I'm talking to. This is going to take a while for me to do this, and for our photographer to do it with me, and for our executive producer to go through this and make the right decisions. But we're doing this because we're not just trying to have a sensational story out there. We are actually trying to do a story that will make a difference in our community. And that takes time, and thankfully we're given the time to do it and the resources to do it, because I think it makes all the difference. If we were not given this time to do this kind of work, what's happening at Somerset Court of Cherryville would not be happening right now. Yeah. That took a long time to put that together.
Yeah.
But look at the end result because of it. I mean, it just goes to show what we're trying to do here and what we have been doing here as a TV station and as journalists. It does make a difference when it's done the right way, and in a way that's transparent with the public, that continues to let them know that you can trust us here. We're going to be very cautious and careful and do right by your story. That goes a long way, because not everyone in this world are doing it that way. They don't all have the time to do it that way. So I'm just thankful that we're able to, and we'll have another update tonight at 11.
Wonderful. All right. Nate, thank you so much for stopping by Live Impact News, and thanks for what you're doing here too as well.
Thanks for the platform.